I paid off my sister's $22,000 debt, then found out she betrayed me. So I gave her a birthday gift she'll never forget. You're unbelievable, Bree muttered, her voice barely audible over the clink of silverware and soft jazz playing through the restaurant speakers. She hadn't even opened the card yet. Just sat there, blinking, holding it like it was some suspicious invoice instead of her birthday surprise. And I was already past the point of pretending to smile. I thought I'd get you something meaningful this year, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Go on. Open it. She slid a perfectly manicured nail under the envelope flap. The paper inside made a soft whisper as she pulled it free. Her lips moved silently while she scanned the page, and for a moment her brows lifted in confusion. Then her eyes widened. She looked up and I saw it the exact second she realized what she was holding. Wait, this says the balance is 0. I leaned back in my seat, sipping water like it was champagne. Yeah, that's because I paid off your student loans. A month ago. For a few seconds, Bree didn't speak. I could see the gears spinning. Her mouth opened slightly like maybe she was about to thank me, but then her eyes flicked back down to the paper and something changed. Like she remembered something and the smile died before it ever arrived. That's when I slid my phone across the table, screen up. A row of screenshots stared back at her. The texts. The ones where she called me stingy. Self-absorbed. Cold. She barely touched the screen, but each flick revealed more venom she'd sent to her friends, lies about how I refused to help, how I laughed at her debt situation, how I was so rich but so cheap. Oh, and the part about guilting me into buying you a car? I said calmly. Nice touch. Her face flushed deep red, and for once she didn't have a comeback. I stood up. You won't be getting a car. Or anything else. Ever again. My chair scraped back on the tile as I turned and walked out, weaving past our stunned family like a ghost they hadn't noticed was still in the room. I didn't look back. But as I hit the sidewalk and the cold evening air wrapped around me, the adrenaline still surged. I hadn't expected it to feel so final. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket, messages pouring in already. My cousin Sadie, Aunt Lauren, even my dad. Probably all asking what happened or why I left Bree alone with the check. But I didn't open any of them. Because there was one question burning through my chest. How do you come back from finding out your own sister was trashing you behind your back even as you were paying off the biggest debt of her life? I wasn't sure if I wanted the answer. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I kept replaying that conversation in my head, her wide-eyed stare when she saw the loan balance, the silence, the way she fumbled the card like it might bite her. And the texts, man, those screenshots felt like a punch every time I looked at them. It all started a week before her birthday. I was sitting in my office at Vance and Reed Logistics, going through month-end numbers when I got a DM on Instagram from someone I hadn't spoken to since college, Lila, one of Bree's old roommates. We were never close, just social circle adjacent. Her message was short. Hey, I don't want to stir the pot, but Bree's been saying some pretty nasty stuff about you. Thought you should see this. Attached were 4 screenshots of a group chat. At first, I didn't even believe it. The names at the top looked familiar, girls Bree used to hang with back in university. The kind who only messaged each other to brag, vent, or gossip. And there it was. Bree's name, timestamped just 2 days earlier. My brother could literally buy me a car tomorrow and still have money left over to go on vacation. But he acts like I'm a burden just because I asked him for help. He mocked me about my loans at Thanksgiving like I'm some freeloader. Mocked? At Thanksgiving? I hadn't even spoken about her debt in front of the family. I'd been quiet, waiting until her birthday to tell her I paid it off. I thought it would be this huge, emotional moment. Something she'd never forget. Apparently, I was right, but not for the reasons I imagined. Another message followed. Whatever. I'm gonna play the guilt card on my birthday. Cry a little, say how I feel forgotten. Bet I'll walk out with keys to a Civic at least. That's when I snapped. I wasn't just annoyed, I was insulted. Hurt. And somewhere under that, I felt embarrassed. Like I'd let myself believe something that had never been true, that Bree actually saw me as someone who cared, not just someone who could be used. I didn't respond to Lila. I just stared at the messages, then closed the app. I went home, sat on the couch, and stared at my ceiling until my dog, Milo, my aging beagle, whined to be fed. It was the first time in months I felt like I couldn't trust my own instincts. Like maybe I'd been stupid all along. And yet, I still went through with the loan payoff reveal. I didn't cancel dinner. I didn't say a word until I slid that envelope across the table. Because somewhere, buried under the anger, I was still hoping for one thing, that maybe she'd realize what she had before it was gone. Spoiler, she didn't. I tried to go about my weekend like nothing had happened. Grocery run, laundry, dog park, even cleaned out the junk drawer in my kitchen. That's how you know I was spiraling. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, my brain kept looping back to Bree's face when she saw that payoff statement. She looked stunned. Like it didn't compute. Like her version of me didn't line up with what was actually in front of her. Maybe because in her head I was just a bank account with a sarcastic personality. She'd never seen me as the guy who skipped nights out for years to build an emergency fund. Who sold his old Mustang to avoid credit card debt. Who turned down every vacation with friends because he didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck at 40. Bree didn't see that guy. She saw a safety net. And I let her. That's what hit me the hardest. I'd spent years defending her. Making excuses to friends, to our parents. She's just stressed. She's going through a rough patch. She's younger, she'll get it eventually. But that eventually never came. And when I finally stepped up in the biggest way I could, she was already scheming her next ask. That night, I pulled out a shoebox from my closet, the one with all the old family photos. Birthday parties, beach trips, one blurry pic of us in front of Disneyland's castle, Bree holding my hand, grinning up at me like I was her favorite person on earth. And I stared at it for a long time, asking myself something I'd never dared to ask before. What if we've just been playing different games this whole time? What if the sister I thought I was helping was never really trying to get out from under her debt? What if her entire relationship with me had been built on what I could do for her, not who I was? That's when the real question hit me. The kind that leaves your chest tight and your throat dry. What do you do when you realize your own sibling might not actually love you, just the version of you that gives? I sat with that question for a long time. Hours. And by the time I finally stood up from the couch, I'd made a decision. No more surprises. No more quiet sacrifices. If Bree wanted to play games, fine. But I wasn't going to be her pawn anymore. Next move was mine. By Sunday morning, my phone had 47 unread messages and 3 voicemails. I hadn't responded to any of them. The family group chat was on fire. It started with my mom. Mom, what happened at dinner last night? Bree was in tears. Then my aunt chimed in. Aunt Kelsey, did you really leave her with the bill, Ryan? That's cruel, honey. Then Bree finally showed up. Bree, wow. I can't believe you would humiliate me like that on my birthday. I don't care about the money, it's the principle. The principle? I almost laughed out loud. You mean the principle where I paid off your entire student loan and got trashed behind my back for it? Still, I didn't respond. Let them squirm. Let them try to piece together a story without the one person who actually had the facts. The chat kept going. Dad, let's all cool off. Ryan, maybe a phone call would help. Bree, you blindsided me. You made me look ungrateful. I was going to thank you. That last part nearly made me throw my phone. Because no, she wasn't. I'd seen the texts. She was too busy bragging about manipulating me to thank me for anything. I finally cracked. Not in the chat, though. I messaged my cousin Sadie privately. I need you to send me all the screenshots you have. Every single one. I'm done playing nice. She replied instantly. Sadie, I was hoping you'd say that. She sent over 13 more screenshots. And with every one I read, it was like peeling back another layer of betrayal. Bree had been playing victim for months. Telling everyone I looked down on her. That I made passive-aggressive jokes about her life choices. That I acted like she was less than. And worst of all, she was building sympathy. People believed her. I'd spent my entire adult life avoiding drama, keeping peace, showing up when no one else would. And she used that to paint me as the villain. Something in me snapped. I copied every screenshot. Every lie. Every slander. And I dropped them, boom, right into the group chat. No caption. No explanation. Just the truth laid bare. Then I muted the thread, sat back, and waited for the fallout to begin. It didn't take long. I unmuted the group chat about an hour later, mostly out of curiosity. Not a single new message. That was weirder than the usual chaos. Bree could rant for 20 minutes uninterrupted when she was upset. For the entire thread to go quiet, that meant one thing, they were regrouping. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Aunt Kelsey. Decline. Then my mom. Decline. Then Bree herself. I let it ring until voicemail. She tried again. Twice. Finally, she left a voice message. I hit play. Her voice was trembling. Not the fake crying tone she used when she wanted something, but the real kind. The kind laced with fury she couldn't hide. You didn't have to drag everyone into this. You could have just talked to me like an adult. Now everyone thinks I'm some manipulative brat. Do you know how embarrassing this is? I muttered under my breath. That's because you are a manipulative brat, Bree. She went on, trying to salvage some high ground. You completely blindsided me. That was supposed to be a celebration. You humiliated me, and you're acting like I'm some monster when I've just been struggling. I stopped the message there. Couldn't listen to another second. It was classic Bree, gaslight, deflect, make herself the victim. But what hit harder than her voice was what I didn't hear from anyone else. The rest of the family? Silent. Not one person came to her defense in the chat after the screenshots. Not one person called me too harsh or tried to guilt-trip me like before. And that silence was louder than any apology they could have sent. I think, for the first time, they were realizing who she really was. And me? I wasn't mad anymore. I was done. That night, I pulled up my bank records and printed the payoff receipt again. I stuck it in a folder with the screenshots, added a note that just said, "For your records," and mailed it to Bree's apartment. No glitter, no ribbon, just receipts. If she ever dared to rewrite the story again, at least she'd know I kept evidence. 3 days after the birthday dinner, my mom finally texted me something longer than a guilt trip. "Mom, I didn't know about the things Bree said. I don't condone that. I'm sorry you were put in that position." Short, careful, like she was tiptoeing around a live wire. I wanted to believe she meant it, but then I saw the follow-up. "Mom, she's still your sister. Maybe you both just need to cool off." There it was. The same old script. Minimize the damage, protect the illusion, keep the family boat afloat, no matter who's bailing water or going under. I didn't reply. Instead, I went to my kitchen, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat at the table staring at a photo on the fridge. Me and Bree, ages 7 and 12. I was holding her hand at the county fair, her cotton candy stuck in her hair, both of us laughing. I took the photo down. It felt like a relic from a story that never really happened. Later that afternoon, Sadie called. She didn't ask how I was. She already knew. "She's not showing her face," she said. "Not at work, not at yoga, nowhere." Apparently, our aunt tried to bring it up and Bree left brunch crying. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow. "She'll bounce back," I said. "She always does." "Maybe not this time," Sadie replied. "People finally saw the real her. It's different now. Maybe, maybe not." But I wasn't wasting another year hoping she'd change. That night, I opened a new doc on my laptop titled Boundaries. I wrote down a list. No money, no last-minute favors, no pretending things are fine, no showing up just to play the hero, no more apologies for choosing peace. It felt stupid at first, like I was making rules for a game I wasn't even playing anymore. But halfway through writing, I realized something. This wasn't for her. It was for me, because every time I'd given Bree another chance, it chipped away at my self-respect. And this time, I wanted to make damn sure I remembered why the door was closing. It came in the form of a text. Not a phone call, not even a voice note. Just a single line from Bree. "Bree, I don't know how to fix this, but I'm sorry." I stared at it for a long time. No defense. No excuses. Not even a period at the end. Maybe she thought that would soften me. Maybe it was real remorse. Or maybe she was just trying to stop the bleeding now that people had pulled away and the party invites had dried up. Sadie told me Bree had tried to play it off for a few days. Acted like I had overreacted. That the loan payoff wasn't a big deal. That it was all family drama. But people knew. They saw the receipts. The lies. So she'd been quietly isolated. And now, I guess, she was extending something. But here's the truth. I didn't want an apology. Not anymore. What I wanted was something she couldn't give me. Trust back. See, paying off her loans wasn't just about being generous. It was about believing in her. Thinking she'd turn things around. Maybe even feel proud of what we both accomplished. Me climbing my way to stability. Her finally being free of that weight. But she didn't want freedom. She wanted leverage. And once she ran out of that, she had nothing left to offer. So I typed, "Me, thanks for saying that, but I'm not interested in rebuilding anything right now." And I left it at that. She never responded. Weeks went by. Family group chat? Dead. My phone? Quiet, blissfully so. No more sudden emergencies. No more, "Hey, can you spot me until Friday?" texts. No more obligation-laced invitations wrapped in guilt. Bree tried to reconnect with a few people, started tagging old friends in throwback photos, sharing motivational quotes on Instagram, the usual PR recovery arc. But it didn't stick. People didn't trust her anymore. Not after seeing how she talked about the one person who had her back more than anyone. I heard from Sadie again. She told Aunt Kelsey she feels like no one sees her side. I rolled my eyes. That's because everyone finally saw her side. The real one. Meanwhile, something funny started happening on my end. I started feeling lighter. Like there was more air in the room. More space in my head. I had dinner with friends and didn't spend the whole time checking my phone, waiting for the next family fire to put out. I took a solo trip to Colorado, just me and Milo, hiking in the mountains, breathing clean air, doing absolutely nothing for anyone but myself. And for the first time in years, I wasn't anxious about what I was missing back home. Because I wasn't missing anything. A few months later, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual handwritten letter in a peach envelope with my name on the front in Bree's looping handwriting. Inside was a folded sheet of notebook paper. No stickers. No love, Bree. Just words. She said she was sorry. Again. But this time there was no self-pity. She admitted she'd used me. That she didn't understand what I'd sacrificed, and that somewhere along the way she started to believe she was owed, not helped, not loved, owed. And that was the part that stuck with me. I convinced myself that being your sister meant I deserved everything you gave me without ever asking if I gave anything back. I read it twice, then tucked it in a drawer. Not to forgive. Not to rekindle. But to remember. Because forgiveness doesn't always mean letting someone back in. Sometimes it's just choosing not to carry their weight anymore. I didn't write her back. I didn't throw it away either. Instead, I took Milo for a long walk that evening, phone on silent, world quiet. The sky was turning that soft blue-gray that only happens when the day exhales. And I realized something: Bree might never change. But I had. And that was enough. Update, 6 months later. I wasn't planning to post anything else, but a few people who know the situation have been asking, so here it is. Bree moved out of state. She's in Arizona now, apparently trying to start fresh. Got a job at some boutique fitness place, and from what I hear, she's toned down the dramatics, at least in public. Sadie says she doesn't really talk about me anymore, which I take as progress. My parents? They've stayed quiet. No surprise there. I think they're trying to stay neutral, but silence feels a lot like siding with the loudest one in the room. I've pulled back, not out of anger, but self-preservation. There's only so many times you can show up for people who only notice when you stop. As for me, I'm good. Better than good, actually. I've been focusing on my own stuff, joined a climbing gym, finally signed up for that pottery class I kept putting off, and even started dating again. Slowly, carefully, but with none of that lingering sense that I need to have it all together for someone else's comfort. And Milo? He's loving every minute of it. That dog has seen me through the worst, and now he's napping through the best. Sometimes I still think about that moment in the restaurant. About how one card changed everything. About the years I spent trying to earn love that came with a price tag. But mostly, I think about how freeing it is to finally stop proving yourself to people who never really saw you in the first place. No more proving. No more performing. Just peace. And honestly, that's worth more than any loan I've ever paid off.